Okay, den haben wir.
A tattoo from Westgate Prison. Vercotti must have done some time there. He tried to stop the bleeding with his hand. Death was not instant.
Tja, hat er hier was drin? Nö.
The bullet penetrated his stomach, a dreadful wound.
Er hatte Schmerzen.
Brian Vercotti suffered greatly. What a terrible way to die.
Na gut. Wer bist du?
Good evening, Mr. Turner.
I heard Constable Marrow reply to you as Mr. Holmes. Are you that detective, gentleman? I've heard of you. And, well, I know things. Things about this evening.
Excellent. Might we hear your story? Could you tell us everything that you may have seen or heard?
I was already in bed when the fireworks started. A few moments after, I clearly heard 2 gunshots from outside.
Please continue.
I quickly got up and I grabbed the lamp from my nightstand and I rushed towards the window. I looked down and I saw 2 bodies. And there was a man with a gun who was standing nearby.
Where exactly?
Well, near this body.
Did he notice you?
I don't think so. He rushed towards Whitechapel Street without looking around.
Ich würde mir den gern erstmal angucken. Orden. Fehlende Knöpfe, armes Leben. Hinkt. Hä? Ich habe einen Arm untersucht und deswegen wissen wir, dass er hinkt.
Mr. Turner, did you see anyone else in the street?
No, I saw no one but that man, the murderer, the fellow they caught.
Were the 2 shots you heard consecutive?
Yes, there was a very short pause between them, and they sounded different somehow. It seemed to me that the second shot was louder than the first.
That is an interesting comment.
Okay.
Mr. Turner, what were your actions after you stepped up to the window?
I was afraid that the man with a gun might return, so I stayed close to the window till I saw the policeman coming in the half moon from Whitechapel. Then I walked out to tell them everything I saw.
Okay,
you have
das
helped us a great deal, Mr.
stimmt
Turner.
auf jeden Fall. So, wir gucken mal. Wir haben... Guck mal, dunkles Fenster. Guck mal, 2 Opfer und... Hä? Dunkles Fenster und Mr. Turners Aussage. Mr. Turner hat ausgesagt, dass er an seinem Fenster gestanden hat, bis die Polizei eintraf. Das widerspricht jedoch Constable Marrows Aussage, der niemanden am Fenster gesehen hat. Genau, das wollte ich. Schüsse und Opfer geht nicht, okay. Ich habe gar nicht drauf geachtet, eben konnten wir uns den Constable auch
It
mal
would be my
angucken.
pleasure to assist you with your investigation, Mr. Holmes.
Ja. Wiggins.
I'll do anything to save my brother, Mr. Holmes.
Jo, das wissen wir. Wir reden mit ihr. Polly Powell.
Mrs. Powell?
What do you want?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm assisting the police with their investigation of the crime that took place this evening.
Well, I've already gave my testimony, but very well.
Ach, die kann ich mir nicht angucken.
Could you tell us everything that you may have seen or heard?
Yes, yes. I was selling my flowers as usual, and then the fireworks began, in honour of Queen Victoria. I enjoyed those. But then, all of a sudden, a young lad ran out of Half Moon Street and stopped just by me. He had a gun in his hand. He was like a ghost, and all covered in blood. It was dark, but I could see him, because of the flashes from the fireworks.
And then?
I screamed as loud as I could. I knew that a policeman should be on duty in the vicinity. He had no time to escape. 2 constables got him. Then another constable came out from the very same street, and I heard him talking of a horrible murder.
Okay.
Mrs. Powell, did you hear the gunshots?
I'm not sure. You know, what with the fireworks?
Did you see anyone else leaving Half Moon Street, prior to or at the time of the crime?
No, sir, I did not. Even with all the fireworks, I was very attentive, as I'm always on the lookout for customers.
My thanks to you, Mrs. Powell.
Okay. Haben wir also abgeschlossen. Ich würde gern gucken, ob wir eine Tür da vorne öffnen können.
I'm always wondering what's on your mind, Holmes.
Bist mir wie immer eine große Hilfe, Watson. Gucken, ob hier die Tür aufgeht.
Locked. 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 Locked.
Okay, ich glaube,
Locked.
mehr Türen haben wir nicht mehr. Ich glaube, hier hört es schon auf. Ja. Jetzt fliegen wir zurück. Okay. Das heißt, wir gehen mal zu Scotland Yard und verhören mal den Gefangenen. So, fortfahren.
Mr. Holmes, whatever brings you here so late at night?
I'm interested in the case of young Leighton Chapman. He was arrested earlier this evening and accused of a double murder.
I beg your pardon? That case is quite clear to the police. Or are there any new facts that we don't know about?
Who knows, Inspector?
Look, you are free to investigate, of course, Mr. Holmes. Chapman was arrested with a revolver in his possession, which you can find in the evidence room. The suspect himself is in custody.
Did you find anything else on his person?
A few personal belongings. Nothing particular, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, Lestrade.
Okay, dann ziehen wir uns den ganzen Kram nochmal rein. Ach Quatsch. Schauen wir doch mal.
A cheap
Uhr.
watch, bought with his own money, no doubt. These cigarettes are filled with cheap tobacco. Nothing interesting.
Apfel ist überhaupt
So
nicht
this is the
interessant, der
gun that Leighton
Revolver.
was holding when he was caught by the police. It is a Webley revolver, a reliable weapon. It seems as though the shells were not removed from the cylinder.
Hä? Kann nur die Trommel untersuchen. Ach nee, arretieren. Ach so, zum Öffnen.
2 out of the 6 shells have been fired. There were 2 shots.
Das passt ja leider, ne? Doppelmord. Kenneth Butler und Brian Vercotti sind Opfer eines Doppelmords geworden, der von einem einzelnen Täter begangen wurde. Ja, schätze ich auch. Noch was zusammenfügen. Haben auch die Option gleichzeitige Schüsse. Mr. Turner konnte Unterschiede zwischen 2 Schüssen hören, weil in Wahrheit 3 Schüsse abgefeuert wurden. Zuerst ein einzelner und direkt danach 2 gleichzeitige. Mr. Turner konnte Unterschiede zwischen den 2 Schüssen hören, weil diese an verschiedenen Punkten der Half Moon Street abgegeben wurden. Glaube ich nicht. Haben wir noch mehr? Revolver, 2 Opfer haben wir. Das geht noch. Und zwar erdrückende Beweislast. Die Zeugenaussagen und die Tatwaffen deuten klar auf einen möglichen Täter hin. Leighton Chapman. Oder Leighton. Okay. Ach shit, ich wollte ja immer noch gucken. Passt nicht, ne? Ne, okay. Ja, da steckt er gerade ziemlich tief in der Scheiße. Um das mal milder auszudrücken.
Please escort this suspect for interrogation. Good evening, Mr. Chapman.
Who are you? I've got nothing to say. It's all a mistake.
Calm down, Leighton. I have come here to help you. To find out if you truly are innocent, as your younger brother Wiggins has told me.
My brother? You know him? Then that means you're...
Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, blimey. All right, Mr. Holmes. I'll tell you everything.
Wir gucken uns den erstmal an. Tiefe Narbe, gelegentliche Schlägereien, aufgewachsen auf der Straße. Ja. Vor kurzem geschlagen, Widerstand geleistet, Hitzkopf. Hä? Das konnte ich jetzt nicht. Büroangestellter? Tätowierung aus dem früheren Gefängnis. Okay.
Good. Tell me your account of what happened.
I left my work and I hurried up to see the fireworks in Whitechapel. I was late, so I decided to cut through Half Moon Street. I saw the first fireworks light up in the sky. I bumped into a constable on a corner before entering Half Moon. Then suddenly, what with all the firework flare, I saw 2 men. They were both lying flat in the middle of the street. I stopped where I was. I thought about turning back to the police, but as I was thinking of that, I saw a third person. He was leaning over the body that was furthest from me. The second I saw him, he raised his head and he stared at me. In a flash, I saw his gun, but he made a dash for it instead and he escaped through Whitechapel Street.
So you might still have had time to return to the constable.
I panicked. I didn't know what to do. Anyway, I approached the bodies just to see if they were still alive. I saw that one had blood pumping out of his stomach. He was dying. It was horrible. The second one was already dead. He had a hole in his head. He was holding a gun in his hand, though. I took it, and then I followed the third man.
Okay.
Interesting. Pray, continue.
I turned a corner, and I saw the man standing in the middle of the street. He seemed to be in some sort of panic. And then, Mr. Holmes, something strange happened. I told the police and they laughed at what I said, but I swear to you, my words are true. I started running towards him. But then I was blinded by a flash. It was so bright that I hardly saw anything for a good dozen seconds. But I kept running forward. As I arrived in Whitechapel, I heard a woman screaming. And then I was caught by the police. But there wasn't a trace of that man. Of course, then they found a gun and all that blood. I couldn't see the murderer escaping and all that mess. Perhaps I was still half-blinded at that moment.
A thrilling account, my young man. Leighton,
Ja.
are you able to describe the person whom you saw standing in Half Moon Street?
Well, I wasn't able to see his face at all. It was too dark, and he was too far away. I could see his silhouette.
And what about that?
Nothing so special. He was wearing a jacket. He was quite average in size and his weight.
I see. Was there anything else that struck you at the time?
No. But perhaps... It's strange, but I can't remember the sound of his footsteps as he was running away. Perhaps it was because of the fireworks or the surprise of me seeing him.
Leighton, I confess I am puzzled. Why should a young lad like you take a gun from the hands of a dead man and set off in pursuit of a probable killer?
I know. I keep wondering that, but at the time it was like a reflex. A criminal ought to be arrested, and he was armed.
You were willing to risk your life. That was a little foolish, unless you wanted revenge.
No, Mr. Holmes. I was just being brave and stupid.
Was können wir ihm denn vorwerfen? Westgate
I'm sure
insassen.
that you were, but I believe that you may have recognized one of the victims, Brian Vercotti. You knew that gentleman well, did you not?
However could you know that?
You have a typical tattoo of the Westgate Brotherhood upon your hand. I observed exactly the same mark upon Mr. Vercotti. You came to know him from your sharing a past prison sentence. Am I correct, Mr. Chapman?
Oh, God. You're right, Mr. Holmes.
Okay.
Would you tell me a little about Brian Vercotti?
We were convicted for a robbery. Once in prison, both of us joined one of these fraternities. During that year, we tried to help each other out, you know?
You were quite young then, I believe.
Yes, Mr. Holmes, we were. We'd only stolen a pound of meat. After we were released, and when I saw what my little brother had become, I decided to work towards living an honest life.
And Vercotti?
He had a hard time. His sister had died in a Whitechapel dispensary while he was in prison. He had no family anymore. Our paths split. He fell back into crime.
So you lost him?
Yes. And for around 2 years, I heard no news of him at all.
We shall see you soon, young man.
Okay, wir haben neue Beweise. Und zwar 2 alte Bekannte. 2 Opfer? Nee, hä? Keine Beute, warum keine Beute? Das brutale Verbrechen an Leighton Chapman in der Half Moon Street vermutlich begangen hat, könnte ein persönliches Motiv geben. Okay, gibt's noch mehr? Okay, das funktioniert auch noch. Fantasiemann. Die Person, die Leighton Chapman in seiner Aussage beschreibt, entstammt seiner eigenen Fantasie, um von seiner eigenen Schuld abzulenken. Nee. Okay, gut. Aber an dieser Stelle mache ich eine Aufnahmepause. Ich bedanke mich bei euch fürs Mitzusehen. Ich bin gespannt, wie viele Fälle es noch gibt. Ich hoffe, es gibt noch ein paar. Mir macht das wirklich Spaß. Ich hoffe, euch auch. Habt noch einen schönen Tag oder Abend, je nachdem, wann ihr guckt. Wie immer, gerne kommentieren, Daumen hoch, wie ihr mögt. Und dann bis hoffentlich zum nächsten Mal. Macht's gut. Ciao.